So, I've been working on this recently. This is a punch card reader and writer, and a joining punch card. So the way this works is you have this frame that feeds in this card, and has readers here angled to be reading the exact same byte as these writers are pointing at. And here you have the encoder reader, which reads these indentations here, and each time there's a change, it increments that counter over there. And so that's how you can keep the index of where you are on the card. And for the writing method, you have this input bus with this enable here. And this mechanism here is what handles the feeding. So just to demonstrate, there's also a sound effect for when it encounters the next address. So you should see here, it's at address 1. So it's reading nothing right now, but if I just write something onto it, it should be immediately reading that now, because it's been written directly onto the cardboard. The plate under the cardboard is made of wood and can't be cut through, and that's for when there's islands of cardboard so that those islands don't fall away. So now it should be at index 2, which it is. One problem with this system is that you can't unwrite anything, but that also was the case for physical punch cards as well. However, you can alter what's just so long as it's additive and not subtractive. I think there is one way to erase something on traditional punch cards, and the standard for that is writing lines. And so that way this would be marked as something that's been erased, and so it would be ignored. And the way it's inserted is there's a large space under here where you can get the lift to put this into this here, and it needs to go at least up to this, but preferably not past this. And then you can begin feeding it like normal. The mechanism for the encoder that I made is just an XOR gate wired from an AND gate and a button, and the AND gate is wired from the button as well. And so when there's any change in signal, it signals. This could probably be used for hard coding information. For instance, these punch cards, since they're being physically altered, can be saved on the lift, and that can be used as information storage between worlds, and it can be also uploaded to the workshop so that you can share programs or information. And the length of the punch card is right now 32 entries, but it could be any arbitrary length, but preferably you would have separate punch cards that you would feed in, because the longer the punch card is, the harder it is to move and manipulate. I had an idea for one of these mechanisms that ran along the punch card so that it didn't matter what size it was, but then I considered that Yeah, that would be much more complicated than this static version. Now, I think if you made a version of this that also reversed, you could use this as something like a hard drive, but it would be a write once hard drive, so that wouldn't be very useful. You would run out of available memory pretty quickly. So I would recommend only writing this once in order to encode something to be used as a ROM later. But I'm pretty sure that's everything for right now. Actually, I just thought of something. It might be fun to watch this go all the way through. Yeah, see the address incrementing. Oh yeah, and the blue and red marks on the card are so that you know which side is which. So that way you don't feed it in backwards by accident. Now that's the end of the card. And ultimately it just gets deposited right there. And that could feed onto a conveyor belt that brings that somewhere else. And there could be conveyor belts going over to here also. And if you had the facilities for it, you could make a whole archive of these cards that would be handled by robots. And the robots would keep track of what cards go where and also do most of the transporting. I remember those really big rooms with a robotic arm, and it's a circular room, and the robotic arm can access a large number of slots, and in each slot, I believe there was something like a solid state drive. It would be something like that, only it would be with these instead of those. But honestly, I think it would be easier to just have a huge RAM bank. Although that also might have a more uh, load on the CPU.